are easier to book than others. But this person we really want, and even though the person who we have to go through, my staff hates. This is a horrible way to introduce him, but he plays the red, white, and blue piano on PBS. Mark Russell. Good morning, Mr. Russell.
Is this Dole campaign headquarters? what was the, I don't have a staff. That's my brother.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Well, my staff hates him.
Well, he hates them, I think.
If your radio sounds funny in the morning, you're listening to Imus in the morning.
You don't really think Quail has a chance to?
Yeah, well, I just think that, I have no problem with him. It's his wife. She's an opinionated lawyer, and I don't think the country's ready for a first lady like that.
We have to straighten out this thing with his brother, by the way.
Sports Radio 66, WFAN.
Models have mofo Dad this Father's Day. For great gifts for Dad, you got to go to Moe's for Dad. Count out Models for great Father's Day values. Get Dad a sharp-looking warm-up suit. Models has a great selection. Just $29.99 today through Saturday. Don't leave Dad out of the game. Get Dad a pair of Nike Air Sonic mid-cut basketball shoes. Usually $65. You can get it for $39.99 at Moe's. Got to go to Moe's. Save an extra $10 off Models regular low prices on all CCM inline skates. Extra savings today through Saturday. The Mo for less price guarantee. Got to go to Moe's. Got to go to Moe's. Models is everywhere. 44 conveniently located Models stores in New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania. For the Models shopping sporting goods situation deal near you, call them at 1-800-ASK-MODELS, M-O-D-E-L-L-S. For Dad, for Father's Day, gotta go to Moe's.
In the morning, 2020 sports.
The puck is at the center ice dot, and here comes Bure. Straight.
Imus in the morning.
Wait a minute.
Imus in the morning.
Hey, Butthead, check it out. I heard that, like, those little Oriental dudes have, like, atom bombs in their yin-yangs.
You dumbass. It's not yin-yang, it's Pyongyang.
They have atom bombs in their poontangs.
You're such a weed. Pyongyang. It's like a city in North Korea.
Oh.
They won't let the UN look at their Yongbyon nuclear reactor.
If I were them, I wouldn't let the UN look at my Yongbyon either.
Shut up. Everybody is like all mad at President Clinton and stuff because he won't go over there and make them show everybody what they have.
But I bet he'd show them what he has.
Cut it out, Beavis.
Yeah. Hey, little Korean dude, show me your yin-yang and I'll show you my Yongbyon.
Is that what they mean by warhead?
Yeah.
Hey, Korean dudes, you have to let everybody know you're not making atom bombs, or else the UN will, like, cut off your trade.
Yeah, that would suck. But look at it this way. It's better than getting your Yongbyon cut off.
Imus in the morning.
Program, nationally syndicated gossip columnist Liz Smith. Good morning, Miss Smith.
A fairyland full of magic, hissy fits and cat fights. Is it gay day at Disney? Close. The 48th annual Tony Awards. Let me tell you, had he known, Bill Shakespeare probably would have saved the title Much Ado About Nothing for this year's event.
Well,
I swear that when the immortal bard wrote about those tales full of sound and fury told by idiots signifying nothing, he didn't know it, but he was predicting the 1994 theater season. And good thing King Lear wasn't a theater critic, because most of the ones I know wish they could have poked their own eyes out in desperate disgust. What can you say about the state of Broadway when the biggest thing going is Beauty and the Beast? And I don't mean the Disney production, I mean Tommy Toon and Rosie O'Donnell. You decide which is which. They happen to be involved in one of the more hideous examples of the latest trend to hit the Great White Way, revivals. But let me tell you, Grease sure as hell ain't gonna be reviving much of anything, including Broadway. Although you might need some reviving after you sit through it. Carousel, Showboat, a sequel to Best Little Whorehouse, even Damn Yankees with its chorus full of switch hitters. That isn't what we need. We need new, exciting productions, like Angels in America, which among the rest of the dreck playing off Schubert Alley should be renamed Diamonds and Dog There are more unintentional laughs in Stephen Sondheim's Passion than there are intentional ones in Neil Simon's Laughter on the 23rd Floor. Hey, Neil, why don't you stick a few of those yucks in the elevator and send them down to the f***ing orchestra, huh? Joan Rivers in Sally Moore and her escorts makes me think that Lenny Bruce and Edgar Rosenberg both got off pretty easy. And when the giant rusted copper walls come clanging down in Medea, one only wishes Star Diana Rigg were standing under them. What's the best thing on Broadway? Well, aside from the aforementioned perestroika and millennium approaches, my vote is for the weird, toothless hobo on the corner of 47th Street who whistles Memory from Cats, standing in a shopping cart holding a bowling ball. That's my idea of theater. Short, sweet, to the point. You don't have to worry about parking, and the performance only costs $a quarter. Give that man a Tony and a sandwich.
Romeo,
Yes, Mickey.
how you call your lover boy?
Come here, lover boy.
And if he doesn't answer?
Oh, lover boy.
And if he still doesn't answer?
I simply say,
Imus in the morning.
12 minutes till. Yeah, right. Something in New York. Dope. You want to put a pup in something, and there's no time to discuss it. So you'll just have to do what I tell you to do. 21 past the hour, so then let's do the stop sets, and if that's what you want to do. Scott Muni is here, one of the great rock and roll disc jockeys in the history of New York radio. Primarily works at WFAN here in New York, and he's come over to do sports, and it's not going to be a happy morning for you. Is it? I asked you to watch the Ranger game last night, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
Now, what did you do?
I fell asleep.
Fell asleep.
Yes, I did. Because you know the way I figured it, man? I was going to get the stupid scores off the wire this morning. Why put myself through the torture of watching a bunch of pant loads slap a little disc around the ice for 3 hours?
Well, that's a good point. Well,
If I want to watch people get violent on the ice, I'll just replay the Tanya Harding deal.
Imus, this ain't your mother's morning show.
Earlier this morning, he tells me he has a sore throat and wants me to kiss his sore throat. That's Lou.
Well, that wouldn't have hurt you, would it? So
Well,
much?
You know, I have a sore ass.
Imus in the morning. Sports Radio 66, WFAN.
better. I'm Eileen Marchese Cohen for the 9X Mobile Fan Highway Patrol.
Hey, Beavis, I have a surprise for you.
What is it? Nachos?
Nope. Better.
Blasting caps?
Better.
Nachos?
Wrong again, dude. Look,
Yes! Playboy magazine? Yes!
it's a very special issue. Inside, there's pictures of the president's daughter naked.
Yeah. Chelsea naked? Yeah.
You butt munch. Not Chelsea, the other one.
Amy Carter?
Here it is. Patty Reagan.
Yeah! I think I'm gonna be sick.
This sucks.
I thought, it'd be cool to, see a president's daughter naked. But, it isn't.
How come her mom's so skinny, but, she's so fat?
I think she, uses her father's hair stuff, too.
I can't tell if this is Ronald Reagan's daughter, Patty, or the other guy's dog, Billy.
Yeah. I think I'd rather see Barbara Bush naked.
You said Bush.
Here now, some late news developments we're following at the Imus Washington National News Desk.
I'm David Brinkley, host of this and my own Sunday program. And you know our regulars, Walter Cronkite, Rush Limbaugh, Imus, and the rest. So let me just thank you for tuning in, for dropping by, for giving us an ear, and joining our little gang here this morning. Fine. Good to have you. Now, some news. Walt? Here in Washington, the President and Mrs. Clinton have been busy at the White House, working with James Carville, Paul Begala, Gergen, Stephanopoulos, Mark Garrett, and that whole crowd, trying to get a handle on how well the D-Day excursion played back home. Mr. Clinton spoke with reporters a few minutes ago as he returned from a morning jog on the mall. Hey, did y'all see me over there in France? Turned around that whole military negative, didn't I? Squatting down and building that cross, put her over the top for me, don't you think? Split my damn trouser seat, but hell, when I think about what them old boys went through over there, I was only too glad to make the sacrifice. Boy, I love the military. Thank you. Thank you very much. Mr. Clinton will next launch a $400 million offensive in this country against the deepening problem of out-of-wedlock births. To draw attention to his mission, the President, as he left reporters this morning, turned, stepped a few yards onto the south lawn, and with a soft breeze ruffling the presidential hair, he turned his gaze skyward for just a moment, then bent down and fashioned a small condom out of a rubber doggy ring, a coffee can, and a Tupperware Jell-O bowl. Quite a man, quite a moment.
Meantime, another bit of embarrassment for the White House after it was revealed that a pair of helicopters from the presidential fleet were used for another unauthorized flight to a recreational destination. Imus in Washington, through the Freedom of Information Act, obtained a copy of the radio communications between the two aircraft, and here it is in part.
Boner Boy 1, this is Boner Boy 2. Over. Boner Boy 2, go ahead. Boner Boy 1, can we get him down right on the rooftop there?
Roger, Boner Boy 2. I'd say there's sufficient roof area, and we'll be blocked from street view by the big sign to the north. Over.
That's right. Right behind where it says Swedish milk massages and hot oil rub downs, right?
You got it, Boner Boy 2. Let's check it out. I think Big Boy will like it.
Roger. I'd say it'll make his knees knock. I'm going in.
At the White House, presidential spokesman D.D. Myers said the helicopters were on an authorized mission to investigate possible locations where the president could relax other than Camp David. Well, all right. You get a job.
Meantime, another Clinton administration senior official is the subject of a Justice Department investigation. The FBI is examining whether Agriculture Secretary Mike Espy illegally accepted free travel, tickets to sporting events, and other goods from Arkansas poultry company Tyson Foods Incorporated. And if I may be permitted a personal observation,
No.
doesn't it just figure that Mr. Espy would get himself hooked up with a chicken producer? What's your pleasure, Mike? New double crispy or original recipe? What were those sporting events? The Camptown races?
Rush. Imus in Washington here on the repugnant Imus in the Morning program. Yes. Senator Alan K. Simpson, who we met when we were America's Best.
Code change, electric air conditioners. Code change, electric air conditioners.
See your authorized Frederick dealer today. He's in the yellow pages. Tops and to come over and do sports, and he's here, so let's get it on.
Imus in the Morning, 2020 Sports.
A disappointed crowd. The darkness continues for another day, Jesus. Good morning, this is Cardinal O'Connor.
Good morning, Cardinal O'Connor.
I'm playing with sports, Jesus. The scene was set, the city was primed, the crowd was ready to explode, and then, nothing. The Rangers with a chance to win the Stanley Cup on their home ice, choked in the crutch, losing to the Canucks 6-3, Jesus.
Well,
New York tied the score at 3 midway through the third period, and the Canucks quickly took a 4-3 lead, and a goal from the defenseman Dave Babbage. What the hell is that? Dave Babbage. Great comedian.
that's fine, Cardinal.
No score.
What's the matter?
He's interrupting me.
Why don't you raise your microphone up there so you don't have to lean over like you're a hunchback?
Let me just say this, Mr. Lamar.
Yes.
Disappointment on the crowd last night is analogous to about the way your fiancé's going to feel on the big night, Jesus. Yeah,
Nothing?
let's see, Mr. Lamar. The Rangers still lead the best-of-7 series, 3 games to 2.
For long.
Game 6 to be played at the Pacific Coliseum in Vancouver, 8 o'clock Saturday night, Jesus. The other big story of the day, Mr. Lamar.
What's that be?
What happened here? The New York Knicks take on the Houston Rockets for Game 2 of the NBA Finals at the Summit in Houston tonight, Mr. Lamar.
Was this a good idea to have you do sports?
The Rockets took Game 1, 85-78, what amounted to a horrible shooting performance for both teams. During yesterday's practice, Knicks coach Pat Riley took offense to a reporter who suggested the Knicks should change their style for the good of the game of basketball.
For the good of the game, I don't know what you're talking about. I mean, the good of the game is about basketball being played at whatever level, with whatever style. You know, I mean, nobody talked about the Houston Rockets getting 85 points. I mean, they only talk about us when we get 70 points.
Strong words from the Knicks coach.
Well, I don't think we need all of these game recaps, do we, Cardinal O'Connor?
Tip time, Mr. Lamar, set for 9 o'clock this evening.
We'd like some yards.
The 1994 gay games come to New York. The WFAN's Mr. Lamar had this reaction.
Everybody say baby!
Moron. When informed that this year's games will once again feature a night at the cockfights, idiot Mr. Lamar had this to say.
It's a fun night.
And
This is so
in
weird.
baseball, Mr. Lamar, the Mets lost to the Expos 9-0. The Blue Jays beat the Yankees 7-5. The Reds topped the Rockies 7-1. The Cleveland Indians lost to the Milwaukee Schmucks 4-3. That's sports, and I'm the Cardinals, Jesus.
Good job, Cardinal O'Connor. Here on the Imus in the Morning program. That's a good job. Well, yeah, so. Well, there's not a lot going on. Stern is in Cleveland today. Is that what we understand?
Hey, man.
Very upset with you.
Well, you shouldn't be upset with me. You're my buddy. You always have been, and you always will be. When Aldemano was down to nothing, you were there for me.
Absolutely. I wasn't.
Absolutely.
When nobody else was.
Some of our greatest days where when none of us were really known. You were known a heck of a lot better than me.
Stab me in the back is what you did.
No, I did not. You stop that, you big baby. Stab you in the back. No way.
Hang on. Charles wants to pull a knife out of my back and then we can talk.
If your radio sounds funny in the morning, you're listening to Imus in the morning.
You're my all-time buddy, friend. And the December 17th, I better be invited to that magnificent ceremony. I want to meet this beauty who's fine. This wild beast.
Alabama's coming up from 20 to 7:30. I love this man.
Sports Radio 66 WFAN.
Well, Father's Day is coming up. Where you got to go? You got to go to Moe's. This is one of the greatest, could be the single greatest sporting goods chain of stores in the country. Probably is. Modell's with 44 Modell stores in New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania. Got to go to Moe's. Give Dad one of them sharp-looking warm-up suits. Too fat to wear clothes anymore. Hey, you big tub, put this on. Got to go to Moe's. Get them mid-cut basketball shoes. Regularly $65, now just $39.99. You got to go to Moe's. Save an extra $10 off Modell's regular low prices on all of those CCM inline skates. Got to go to Moe's. Get Dad a pair of rollerblades to kill himself. Always get the best price with Modell's famous everyday low price guarantee. Modell's guarantees to meet any competitor's ad price or refund 25% of the difference. Dad's Day is coming up June 19th. You got to go to Moe's.
Kathy Ford, Long Island list H. Rose Pearl with a vague political announcement.
Amos, what's wrong with our country? Can you answer me that?
Well, no, I
Can
can't.
you answer? I'm bored. Let's burn something.
Hey, buddy, check it out. I got Cormac McCarthy's new book.
Isn't he the guy who, took over David Letterman's old job at NBC?
He's the dude who wrote that Pretty Horses book that Imus liked.
Oh, Imus loves that dude.
Yeah. He should, marry him.
Figures that Imus would like a book about pretty horses.
Yeah.
Are there any naked pictures?
I don't think there's any pictures.
Any dirty words?
I don't think so.
That sucks. What's it about?
It's the odyssey of a boy who goes to Mexico where he loses his childlike innocence and becomes hardened and bitter with the realities of life.
Are you sure there's no naked pictures?
You're such a butt-white. This is a serious literary work. They're comparing it to Shakespeare and Melville. It's the new Hamlet. It's the new Moby Dick.
You said Moby.
Imus Award News Time, 6 minutes after the hour. We are on in about 35 markets across the country. Affairs analyst, the late General George S. Patton, Jr.
Eddie, I'm here to welcome you people to United States Executive Branch Propaganda Post Seminar 6694, as in 6 June 1994, when we were witness to our current Commander-in-Chief, Battlefield Bill Clinton, establishing a beachhead on the storied coast of Normandy. A day when, if my data here is correct, he finally retired the trophy for public event lower lip fighting. Private, get those lights at the back of the room, please. Give me the overhead projector. First slide. Now then, this piece of text here accompanied this photograph of the president here. Let me read this for you. Clinton walked down to Omaha Beach. He stopped and piled stones together to form a small cross. Then he walked alone on the sand next to the cold, green water. And another, people. A solitary figure on the beach. Clinton gathered some stones and spread them in a small cross, bending both knees in what looked like a silent prayer. And then the president stood and walked alone down the shore. Hit the lights, kill the projector, private, and then gagged me with an opinion poll. At the risk of being labeled the ultimate cynic, as they say, something is missing from this picture. What was missing, people, was the preset television camera. The gaggle of Bubba Buttboy 8 standing just out of the camera shot. The little pile of rocks that those 8s had stacked up for this warrior wannabe, along with the script for this carefully constructed I feel their pain photo op, disinformation, subterfuge, jive. Clinton, not yet born when World War II raged, but quite alive during the Vietnam era, if memory serves, trailed by adoring cameras, then departed for Paris, and then Oxford, where he wrote that pesky letter, people, in which he said in so many words, go in the army? I don't think so. And then spoke of his sympathy for those loathing the military.
Yeah, right.
And now, a cross on the beach below a cemetery where 9,386 Americans are buried, along with an expression that he regrets that he was denied the opportunity to serve because he loves the military so.
Right.
So much for saccharine-soaked sincerity on the panzers of the Third Reich ain't buying a few fancy phrases somebody stuck in front of a goober on a fistful of 3x5 cars. And while on the subject of image, permit me to flail away briefly at the Commanderette-in-Chief, Hillary. What was that ensemble she was draped in at dinner with Francois Mitterrand?
Well,
If she wanted to make sure we knew she wears the pants, or at least can keep them up, okay, we got it. She had on a pantsuit whose trousers looked as though she'd gotten them off the pant load for her swell spouse. It looked like the top had been designed for Kate Moss and the bottom for Kate Smith. I swear to God, the woman's got a figure like a sink stopper. At any rate, so that we're not totally negative here, let me note the one reference Mr. Clinton made with which I am in complete agreement. You're right, Mr. President. The longest day is not yet over. That won't happen until January 20th, 1997. That is all.
Well, here now, the Imus the Morning program, a gentleman who's been on several times and wrote a very funny book. The book was called, If You're Talking to Me, Your Career Must Be in Trouble. There's Joe Queenan. Good morning, Mr. Queenan.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm fine. I'm smoking right now.
Right.
I'm smoking a cigar. A lot of people now are worried about transtelephonic secondary smoke.
Yeah.
And what I did the other day was I went to a tobacco shop at 56th Street, and I said, I want the most repugnant, offensive cigars you can sell me. First thing I did was I went out to the jogging path up the reservoir, Central Park.
Yeah.
I went counterclockwise, okay? So I smoked the smoke directly in everybody's face.
If your radio sounds funny in the morning, you're listening to Imus in the morning.
One woman says to me, she says, can't you find any place better to smoke that than here? I said, well, I missed the last flight to Los Angeles.
Imus in the morning. Sports Radio 66, WFAN. Imus in the morning.
Oh, the hour here in New York. Who's like Apple dealer sells other computers too.
do you know how little anybody cares about this, for crying out loud? People have all kinds of serious problems, and you can't get a computer to exactly suit the iMan. Nobody gives a flying function, for crying out loud, about you and your computer and your limo problems. Nobody cares.
Imus, this ain't your mother's morning show.
First of all, I didn't always ride around in the limo, and nobody gave me the limo, by the way.
No. Well, here we go.
I stole it. I worked in underground copper and uranium mines. I used to go a mile underground there at Magma Copper in Superior, Arizona. Magma Copper.
We'd settle for 6 feet.
Mike Green, a little punchline.
Sports Radio 66, WFAN.
So I can't let Harry listen to your show anymore. Why? Well, because about 3 days ago, I'm driving up to Las Cruces. He turned to me and said, you know, Uncle Don said on the radio you had sex with a cow. It took me about an hour to explain to him that the reason you don't have sex with a cow is that you have to walk too far to kiss him.
Imus, this ain't your mother's morning show.
You know, I've noticed on Equal Time, every time Mary Madeline gets a little worried about their braids, she hikes that skirt up.
Yes.
I'm looking for that skirt to get up to the panty line tonight.
Well, Fred, I don't think we're going to predict that Mary Madeline's going to drag her skirt up to her chin.
I don't know if you've noticed, she hikes it up a little further all the time. She's going to show some serious legs tonight.
Imus in the morning. Sports Radio 66, WFAN.
Anyway, here he is. Tim Robbins. Good morning, Mr. Robbins.
Good morning. I've been called a lot of things, but never a showbiz weasel before.
How pathetic is it?
It's not pathetic at all. I'll tell you what would be pathetic. If I showed up in Vancouver wearing a Vancouver Canucks jersey, that would be pathetic.
Have you, will you be there Tuesday night?
I will if I can get my hands on some tickets.
Well, we're going to have a contest tomorrow, and if your radio sounds funny in the morning, you're listening to Imus in the morning on the Fan. So you're like a
Rangers fan since I was a kid. I grew up in New York City.
So you're like a legitimate fan.
I'm a legitimate fan.
I apologize for the disparaging remarks I made about you.
Well, I appreciate the apology.
But not about Susan.
Sports Radio 66, WFAN.
WFAN 2020 Sports.
military back there in Oxford during his Hell No, We Won't Go days. Oh, yeah. But let's move on. Good. Issue 1. Imus is a bastard. I guess you believe that my dying the other day wasn't difficult enough for me. No, you have to bring in live in your studio yet Lowell Weicker, lame duck governor of Connecticut, and the guy who nearly single-handedly drove me for my presidency. Down the old Watergate stake in me one more time, right, Donna? All right, here's my response. May you awaken in the morning to discover both Al Sharpton and Senator Patrick Moynihan naked in your bed on either side of you, quietly smearing fondue sauce on your buttocks and licking their lips. Issue 2. Speaking of obesity, I spotted this description in the paper the other day. A happy, dysfunctional, portly misfit whose charm is an innocence that makes him over-enthusiastic and goofy. Bill Clinton, says I. Only to read on and find that they were not describing the President of the United States, but rather Mr. Blobby, the 7-foot, pink and yellow, polka-dotted, pratfalling butts from British TV. Oh, yeah, right. How was I to know? But Block 1 also being described as an ambassador to incompetence, whose philosophy is, and I quote, why stand up straight when you can fall over? Now I ask you, is that a bumper sticker of the Clinton presidency, or what? So, naturally, you can understand my confusion. All right, issue 3. Let's see what the genius has done this week. What he has done, as tensions intensify with North Korea, is to dispatch Jimmy Carter over there. Well, that'll fix it, huh? Actually, perhaps I shouldn't be too quick to judge. In this instance, Clinton may know what he's doing, as difficult as that is to grasp, because after they spent an evening sitting across the table from Jimmy Carter, torturing them with every finicky, microscopic, utterly immaterial detail known to man about international relations, we may awaken to find that the entire North Korean leadership has hanged itself in the superstructure of a nuke plant cooling tower, for crying out loud. Literally, or dead. Issue 4, hating, calling our bluff, or doo-doo, that voodoo, that you do so well. Now the new military-backed president nowadays says if we invade, he's called upon voodoo gods to drive us back into the sea. Well, what's next? 55mm Ouija boards? They're going to kill us with card tricks? Roving squads of three-card Monty militia? Forget sanctions, man. Cutting these people off from food and water would be doing civilization a favor. Let General Raul Segras have the place and good riddance. Besides, who can predict what Clinton will decide to do next? If you want my view, the way Clinton operates, I say dump Warren Christopher and make Kreskin the Secretary of State. And change the name at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue from the White House to the Waffle House. And for more reasons than one, now that I think about it. And that's the world through Dick's eye today, now. That of Dick Nixon, who now enjoys sort of an overview, as it were, as a now deceased former president of the United States.
Vice President Johnson, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chief Justice, President Eisenhower, Vice President Nixon, President Truman.
Imus in the morning.
Traffic snarls at the GW Bridge as Ranger fans line up to leave. Good morning. This is Mike Ridley Sports. Game 7 Stanley Cup Finals tonight at the Garden. Rangers.
Dan Jenkins. Good morning, Mr. Jenkins. Good morning, Don. I'm happy to know that you're still alive. I hear you have a young I just don't think we need to get into this, do we? I just only had one question. Yeah. Is she registered in you, or is she a museum curator?
If your radio sounds funny in the morning, you're listening to Imus in the morning.
Good morning, Sabrina.
Good morning, Imus.
How you doing, baby?
I have some advice for you.
Regarding what?
Well, Dr. Georgia Whitkin is a very attractive woman.
Yeah.
So I think that she's a woman for you. I'm sorry to say this, but she's more your age.
What does age got to do with it?
Well, I think you're more compatible with somebody your own age.
Helen Hayes passed away.
In the morning. Sports Radio 66. WFAN.
Well, I'm going to marry Deidre Coleman. Yes, and now what? That's the end of that. 12 minutes till the hour here in New York, and I found out from catching some rays with my fat friend Scott Muni. Scotzo.
I was flipping through Variety the other day and stopped when I saw the words Phil Donahue followed by the word execution. And I got all excited. That is until I read it wasn't his execution that he's trying to televise. Damn, I hate it when that happens. Turns out it's this guy in North Carolina, David Lawson, who actually has his lawyer going to the Supreme Court to overturn earlier decisions banning the television event. He wants to be on Donahue so bad, he's even offered to sit in the gas chamber without the hood over his head. Nothing like a cooperative, convicted murderer to help your programming schedule during sweeps, huh? Well, Shannon Doherty could have learned a thing or two about being a team player from this guy. He claims he's innocent and wants it to be televised so he can make a statement about wrongful prosecution. And the altruistic Donahue wants it to be televised so he can get those big capital punishment ratings. That'd pretty much send the Nielsen through the roof, don't you think? Well, I mean, that is, if we have to settle for something else besides a public hanging of Phil. Which, if you ask me, is settling for the next best thing, which would be Marlowe in the electric chair with Phil pulling the switch. Which itself is a poor substitute for what America really wants. But I'm starting to get the feeling that the I-Man is immortal. Then I read where Fox is now developing a talk show for Carney Wilson, the fat chick from Wilson Phillips. Oh, that's nice. Which is either a brilliant idea or a ponderous one, depending on whether or not you think being an overweight single woman with a burned-out ex-druggy dad who sits in a sandbox all day will help you interview other overweight single women with burned-out ex-druggy dads who sit in sandboxes all day. I mean, she's been through so much weird stuff, she could be her own guest on every show. There's just no rhyme or reason to what people will watch on the tube. You can pretty much predict that one of the only good things that might come out of a war with North Korea is that the MASH reruns will follow 16 share. You know, I was one of the first to think ABC had that flesh-eating disease, and that the flesh it was eating was brain tissue when they paid $15 million for the rights to televise World Cup soccer. But then I read where worldwide 31 billion people will watch this thing. What? That's a B, by the way. Billion. Man, that's a lot of wretched refuse staying inside checking out the kickball instead of standing outside selling crack and stealing cars. Fine. Who knew television can turn out to be a crime deterrent? Makes you wonder what might have happened had they not canceled L.A. Law. That guy in North Carolina would be sitting in his living room watching Arnie put the moves on the new paralegal instead of sitting in the gas chamber waiting for the pellet to drop.
The following is another in a series of famed political resurrections by billionaire industrialist H. Ross Perot.
Adam, Korea, Imus. Haven't said anything about it, but now I've got to because it's just about to get out of hand. And the Clinton administration, as usual, is operating with its head stuck in its Barney Frank bench. No offense to the furry congressman.
Oh, no.
They're approaching this thing off the whole wrong angle. This isn't political, Imus. It's fiscal. Too many Chinamen, not enough laundries. Now, let me explain that.
No, wait. They're Korean, not Chinese.
And you're part of the problem instead of the solution. Who carved expert in your butt? Well, you give me your Korean, then your Chinaman, and your Tokyo feller. Drop them in the sack, shake them up good, and pour them out. Now, who's who? Well, case closed. As I was saying, Imus, the bedrock of any viable economic structure is jobs, jobs, jobs. The whole thing wrong in North Korea is that their economy is sicker than a three-legged heifer udder-stuck in a two-pole fence. And they're all running around cooking their next-door neighbor's pets because they can't buy regular groceries, like you can and I can. Well, yeah. So I say, let's respond to their threats, but in a way that has a humanitarian aspect to it. We've got the hardware. Send a bunch of planes over there and drop Maytags on them. Getting a washing machine dropped on you would take out about half the little bastards in the first place, and the other half can start their own businesses. I'm already studying several name possibilities for the project. Maybe you can give me some input. Sure. MFN for Maytag Flattened Noggins. You like that? Well, okay. How about Strategic Detergent Initiative, or SDI? You're way ahead of me, Imus. That's why I like you, son. You're way smarter than Larry King. Yeah. Now, I'm also considering something that would rhyme with gas.
And that would be?
Splat, to reflect the nature of the mission.
Yeah.
But anyway, enough with trying to jawbone these people. It's a renegade regime, Imus. It's just that simple. I mean, what are you going to do? Give them another memorandum of understanding?
No.
Fax them a nasty note?
No.
Run in some sanctions on them?
Well.
That's Beltway bull stinky, Imus. Couldn't clean it up with a fire hose and Al Gore. If you've got a better alternative, I'm all ears. In the meantime, to the people saying that continued diplomacy is in everybody's interest, I'd remind you that continued diplomacy is what wound up bringing us 50 D-Day anniversaries.
Well, yeah.
Good to have you on board on this one, Imus. The eyes of Texas are upon you. Much obliged for having me on your show.
Lowell Weicker, who is the governor of the state of Connecticut, and has served one term, right?
One term as governor. I've not closed the door, I'll put it that way, on the future. Who would I be running against, Dole and Clinton? That'd be an interesting race. Come on, let's stick it over in your court.
Well, I'm telling you right now.
Dole, Weicker, and Clinton?
It's Dole in a heartbeat. I mean, I love you, and I like Bill Clinton, but I mean, it's just, you have no chance. You have no chance.
Well, I happen to agree with you on that.
If your radio sounds funny in the morning, you're listening to Imus in the morning.
Of course, let me just offer the following. Here comes an amendment. But come in. I was going to say caveat, but it's not. Okay. You know, we can always talk.
See this brown paper bag I came in?
Yeah.
We could have more than just Tropicana orange juice in it.
Imus in the morning. Sports Radio 66, WFAN.
2020 Sports.
Ranger fans have nightmares. Good morning. This is Mike Green with sports. Tonight is the change with host Russ Salisbury.
I'm getting angry about this now because I think it's unfair. I think it's unfair to me, and it's unfair to the hockey club. And I put too much work into this. I sacrificed a hell of a lot personally to get this done, and now I'm upset about it.
Shut up.
You dumb fool!
Salisbury getting a little antsy after.
Well,
Quite honestly, I thought he stepped over the line. Game time shortly after 8 o'clock tonight.
come on, Mike. They actually have a Black Ranger fan on the phone, African American. Good morning, Barry.
How you doing, man? I can't believe I got through, baby!
Well, you're going to go to one of the most significant sporting events, as Breen just said.
Oh! Hey, man, next time Breen was out, can I fill in for him? I know more sports than Breen. I can guarantee that, baby. Let me fill in for him.
Well, you're going tonight.
Okay.
Hang on, Bernie. I'll tell you what to do, okay? All right?
Yeah.
All right, hang on. Bernie, tell him what to do, get his name, all that kind of stuff.
Good plan.
So Barry's going to see the Rangers tonight. Yeah. So there will be one black man there.
Absolutely.
Hey, by the way, Marv Albert is a creep, which I have suspected for some time. Oh, come on.
He's revealed himself this time.
Yeah, I mean, we asked Marv to come on this morning, not like.
Yes. Baseball news, Ryan Sandberg retired. Emotional announcement.
I am here today to announce my retirement, effective immediately.
Got to compare that with Lou Gehrig's luckiest man line. Boy, that's emotion.
Well.
Right there. That's all you can say is, well, I was hoping for a little more from him.
Well, no, the guy's 34 years old, and I mean, and
He's too old.
he's in a batting slump, and
Sure.
I don't get it.
But it's nice to see when someone knows when to call it quits.
That's true. I admire that. Let me tell you something. I call it quits. You do an update for Iron Eagle.
Really?
Yeah, so.
Sounds like a good gig to me.
Yeah.
That's sports. I'm Mike Brady.
Anyway, here he is. Tim Robbins. Good morning, Mr. Robbins.
Good morning. I've been called a lot of things, but never a showbiz weasel before.
How pathetic is it?
It's not pathetic at all. I'll tell you what would be pathetic. If I showed up in Vancouver wearing a Vancouver Canucks jersey, that would be pathetic.
Would you be there Tuesday night?
I will if I can get my hands on some tickets.
Well, we're going to have a contest tomorrow, and
If your radio sounds funny in the morning, you're listening to Imus in the morning.
so you're like
I'm a Ranger fan since I was a kid. I grew up in New York City.
so you're like a legitimate fan.
I'm a legitimate fan.
I apologize for the disparaging remarks I made about you,
Oh, I appreciate the apology.
but not about Susan.
Imus in the morning.
Tim Robbins, Susan Sarandon, hockey fans.
Sports Radio 66, WFAN.
Well, the world's leading.
Mobile Fan Highway Patrol.
All right, here now with comment and observation on headline issues of the day. Imus in Washington.
Enjoy sort of an overview, as it were, as a now deceased former president of the United States.
Imus in the morning. Mike and the Mad Dog. Sports Radio 66, WFAN.
The Bud Light
Joe from the Imus in the Morning Show. I'll be hosting a men's fashion show this Wednesday night from 6 to 8 p.m. at the lower level of the Galleria Mall in White Plains. I'm inviting everyone to watch me stumble down the catwalk. I'll be signing autographs, giving away fan merchandise, and wearing women's clothes. So be sure to join me for Nard McGurk this Wednesday night from 6 to 8 at the lower level of the Galleria Mall in White Plains, all from Sports Radio 66 WFAN, New York.
WFAN 2020 Sports.
Good afternoon. It's 4 o'clock. This is Ian Eagle.
Here said today, they had about 35 illegal screens. He picked that one to make a foul call.
Hey, he's right about that. That's a tough call, but you know what? The way the Nixon calls have gone this year, they got nothing to bitch about. They've gotten the whistles blown their way, especially in this building. Just go check Hugh Holland's Game 5 Bulls.
Glenn Healy coming up. Don't go away.
Sports Radio 66, WFAN.
Los Angeles police man questioned pro football legend O.J. Simpson yesterday in the brutal murder of his ex-wife and her male companion, who were found dead in a pool of blood outside her condominium. So there you go. They say
sounds a little fishy, the whole thing to me.
Next time you see O.J. running through the airport, he'll have half the LAPD behind him.
That will be fine.
Jumping over cars.
Yeah. If your radio sounds funny in the morning, you're listening to Imus in the Morning on the Fan.
So we invited Marv Albert on this morning to talk about the Ranger Canuck game tonight. What was his excuse, Bernard?
That his voice is failing, and if he gets up extra early this morning,
he's just stupid.
Wouldn't be in good shape tonight.
Just stupid. So, I mean, he's banned just forever.
That did it.
Maybe O.J. will sneak up to his hotel.
In the morning on the Fan, Sports Radio 66, WFAN.
WFAN 2020 Sports.
It's 5 o'clock. This is Ian Eagle.
Prison in Indiana, the former heavyweight champion of the world, Iron Mike Tyson. Hi, champ.
What do you want?
Well,
I'm very angry.
Okay.
I can't be responsible for what I may say or do at this very moment. I'm on the edge.
Fine.
I even made Tiny leave the cell, because I might start throwing things around, because I'm a time bomb of black rage. I'm ticking like a $2 Rolex. Don't make me mad or something white is gonna hurt. I'm gonna tell you something I learned from experience.
What?
There's no such thing as justice. Justice is an illusion created by the man. But let me tell you something else. I'm a desperate brother with an axe to grind. And every day I spend in here, I'm gonna grind that axe on the wheel of my despair, thinking about justice. And once my axe is sharp and I get out, you know what I'm gonna do?
No.
You know that blindfolded bitch holding them scales of justice?
Yes.
I'm gonna chop her head off. And then I'm gonna go visit the Justice Patricia Gifford and chop her damn head off too. And then I'm gonna go over to Desiree's house and I'm gonna be just like George Washington. I'm gonna say, I cannot tell a lie. I did not rape you. And then I'm gonna pretend she a cherry tree and chop off her motherfucking head. Ain't no apologies now, Mr. Chump. You think D-Day is June 6, 1944? Wrong. D-Day is May 9th, 1995. That's the day the champ gets out and goes looking for justice.
Uh-oh.
It ain't fair. I get caught in the hotel room showing my Mr. Dinky to a woman, I go to jail, become a convict.
Right.
White man get caught in the hotel room showing his Mr. Dinky to a woman, he go to Washington, become the president. You know the real reason why I ain't getting out?
No.
Because I'm black, and the man, he don't want me out on the streets. I'm every white man's nightmare. A big brown brother who likes to get drunk and beat motherfuckers up. Whitey can't be having that now, can he?
Well, no.
What did that judge want? Why she gotta be like that? She said she couldn't reduce my sentence unless it was in the interest of justice and that I could guarantee it would never happen again. And I said I could only give her my word. What else was I supposed to do? Predict the future? Get out a Ouija board? Have the bitch drink some tea and I look at the leaves and say, nope, says here I ain't never gonna do it again. Well, I don't get it. Them two Puerto Rican boys that killed their moms and pops, they got off easier than them toupees they wearing. Shotgun their parents on the couch watching the tube and they get off. I knocked boots with some hottie that decided I wasn't good enough for her. Bam, break, I'm in jail. If only I'd have shaved my head, bought myself a wig, and shotgun Desiree on her sofa, checking out Oprah, I'd be a free man now. What? Shut up, Tiny. You want justice? Ain't no such thing as justice. Oh, I'm sorry. He don't want justice. He just wants a quiet little candlelight dinner together in a cell. Just us.
Oh, sweet.
Vice President Johnson, Mr. Speaker.
Gotta go to Modell. Gotta go to Modell.
Gotta look good, gotta look fast, gotta look cool, can't look like a fool. Gotta get pumped. look tough. Gotta take off, gotta check out the stuff.
Modell's, the place for Knicks playoff and finals merchandise, as well as a full variety of NBA official licensed products. Listen for the box office blitz and the pregame Modell's trivia contest to call in and win a gift certificate to Modell's, good towards the purchase of any NBA official licensed product. Call 1-800-ASK-MODELLS for the store nearest you. Remember, you gotta go to Moe's.
Gotta have it now, gotta have it fast, gotta have it right, and you know it's gotta last. Gotta look good, gotta look bad, gotta get real, gotta check out the deal.
Gotta go to Moe's.
Gotta go to Modell's.
Gotta go to Moe's.
They're headed for nothing.
A little Casey treatment in the Texas Q, boys. Send this out to everybody at KROD there in El Paso, Texas.
We don't have no love in El Paso.
Richard Nixon, H. Ross Perot, and Christopher Buckley all coming up. Now the great flashback. Here now some of the headline stories we're working on in the Imus and Washington Network Central Headquarters Command.
I am Walter Cronkite.
Hi, Walt.
I'm David Brinkley.
And I am an object of idol worship, the icon Don Imus. Here now the news.
President-elect Clinton's coattails appear to be carrying his brother Roger toward fame and fortune in Hollywood, as the younger Clinton has now begun to feed on his older, smarter brother's success. Roger, who until now was merely a lounge lizard, has just opened a lounge act in which he impersonates Elvis Presley, his role model. Roger joins us live this morning from his Las Vegas hotel room. Roger, thanks for coming by. Good to see you. Always good to have you on. Good of you to let us visit for a moment. Good that technological advancements of the past 50 years enable us to do this. So, you're an Elvis impersonator? That's novel.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
So, could you do a little Elvis for us?
Well, I am doing it. That's me right now.
No, I mean, could you sing us some Presley tune or the other?
No, I can't. I don't do that. Thank you very much.
Let me see if I have this straight. You can't sing an Elvis tune, but you're an Elvis impersonator?
Yeah, I got it from my brother. Thank you very much.
Then that's all you do is say thank you very much in your act?
Yeah, pretty good, ain't it? That's it. Elvis lives in me, man. Thank you very much.
Then you have no talent.
None at all. Don't need none. Got a big brother who's going to be a president impersonator. So what more do I need? Hey, Elvis has left the building. Thank you very much.
Excuse me, Mr. Clinton, but I have a bulletin just handed me that I must air at once. Dateline, Long Island, New York, where noted businesswoman Bernadette Castro has just told a news conference that she was visited by extraterrestrial beings last week who implanted her with one of their young in an effort to save their dying species. Ms. Castro says the creatures who impregnated her had large, luminous eyes, squat bodies, and extraordinarily long limbs. All of them, she emphasized. In fact, Ms. Castro says her only regret regarding her experience is, in her words, that he never writes, he never calls, there's just no communication between us at all.
Meanwhile, Texas billionaire H. Ross Perot may soon be back on television if TV producer George Schlatter has his way. Schlatter envisions a project that he says only Perot has the arrogance and insolence necessary to carry off. We spoke with Perot at his headquarters in Dallas.
Look, Slater wants me. All he's got to do is get plain folks, just like you and me, to say they want me in all 50 states. It's just that simple. If you want Perot on the air, you got it. It's just sad that I no longer have a forum for running my world-class mouth anyway. I got a world-class ego, a world-class family, except for the kid, Junior, who's a world-class embarrassment. He says I'm his father. I don't believe him for a minute. My world-class daughter will be on the show. He won't. Even got a name for it. Wheel with a fortune. Like that?
And finally, at the White House, where the first family is preparing for its last Christmas at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, First Lady Barbara Bush has revealed one of the presents she's giving her husband, the president, a copy of Nora Hayden's book, How to Satisfy a Woman Every Time and Have Her Beg for More. Explain, Mrs. Bush.
Hey, you think he screwed the country? What about me? I've been hosed by this bozo for 50 years.
and I've been thinking it more than Milli Vanilli. You know what Barbara Bush's theme song is? It ain't ruffles and flourishes, honey. It's satisfaction by the stone. As in, I can't get none. Maybe me and Hillary can first lady tag team that fat bastard Bubba. He's into that, you know. Like I always say, a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. But two bushes with a dead bird is completely out of hand. Or something like that. Oh, what the hell do I know? I married a loser. Hit the jingle, Louie, 'cause this thing's just like George. It ain't got no finish.
It's coming up on about a minute till the hour here in New York City, and in about a half an hour, Christopher Buckley, Senior Military Affairs Advisor, the late General George S. Patton, Jr.
At ease. I appear before you people this morning to state to you that there is hope. Although we exist in what I will call the Bill Clinton moment of cave in, give up, cut and run, there are some counter currents to which we can point. And one of those has occurred in New York City. A geopolitical conflict in microcosm, if you will. A moment, if you'll forgive a somewhat crude reference, when the possibility of backs to the wall defeat became balls to the wall triumph. In every man's life, there will occur a moment when he is challenged in a way that will make it clear to him whether he should pass on his genes to future generations or whether he should make an emergency call to L.A. and say, O.J., do you also perform vasectomies? Thereby shield future generations from the DNA rot that made him a substandard, inferior, deficient, abysmal, fifth-rate, mucus-leaking louse. We have examples of both this morning. Private, get those lights and give me the overhead projector. Thank you. All right, first slide. This, people, is a man in uniform, in service to his community and his country. This is a New York Ranger. At ease, at ease. This, against all odds, is the kind of individual that stormed the beaches of Normandy 50 years ago, as compared to the kind of individual who we saw there more recently with his love letters in the sand bit. Now then, next slide. Another man in uniform, player, hockey, ice, Vancouver Canuck. Worthy opponent. And a loser. A loser who, when the ultimate moment presented itself, became an abject, can't suck enough, inert, passive chump, lacking any real sense of commitment and motivation to do anything positive with his pathetic excuse for a life. When next somebody asks you what is right with America, all you need to do is pull out a pack of New York Ranger trading cards and, without comment, pan them out in front of your interrogator. If you're asked what's wrong with America, pull out last year's Christmas card from the White House that was addressed to Dear Occupant. In conclusion, I would offer the following observation. It is fitting that the New York Rangers won Lord Stanley's Cup because it's clear they need a little more room in their own. That is all.
Los Angeles police man questioned pro football legend O.J. Simpson yesterday in the brutal murder of his ex-wife and her male companion, who were found dead in a pool of blood outside her condominium. So there you go. They say
sounds a little fishy, the whole thing, to me.
Next time you see O.J. running through the airport, he wants half the LAPD behind him.
That will be fine. Jumping over cars.
Imus, this ain't your mother's morning show.
So we invited Marv Albert on this morning to talk about the Ranger Canuck game tonight. What was his excuse, Bernard?
That his voice is failing, and if he gets up extra early this morning,
he's just stupid.
Wouldn't be in good shape tonight.
Just stupid. So, I mean, he's banned just forever.
That did it. Maybe O.J. will sneak up to his hotel room.
Imus in the morning. Sports Radio 66, WFAN.
I'm bored. Let's burn something.
Hey, Butler, check it out.
27 after the hour here in New York. In about 3 or 4 minutes, Christopher Buckley.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. My fellow citizens of the world, ask not what America will do for you, but what together we can do for the freedom of man.
Imus in the morning.
Joe Queenan is here. So let's talk about, first of all, Best Actor. We have Daniel Day-Lewis,
Who should win, but won't.
He should win.
He should. He's the best.
Okay. How about Lawrence Fishburne and What's Love Got Tina Turner thing?
No way. No. Nobody wants to reward anybody associated with Ike Turner.
If your radio sounds funny in the morning, you're listening to Imus in the morning.
The show to be hosted by Whoopi Goldberg, who says she, for one, is rooting for Mr. Spielberg.
The greatest. You know, I'm eternally, forever in my career grateful to him. Grateful like you can't even understand. He's the greatest.
This is going to be an electrifying evening. Yeah, she's already pumped. You can hear it. I mean, and she's so incredibly articulate. That's the, it's going to. It's like you can't even understand. Exactly. That's exactly right. I can't. No one wants to understand. I can't understand it. I can't understand it.
I liked Christopher Buckley. Didn't you?
Yeah, a lot.
Radio 66 WFAN.
Father's Day is this Sunday. Before you panic and buy Dad something like a nuclear.
2020 Sports.
Well, New York, after 54 years, your long wait is over. Captain Mark Messier, come get the Stanley Cup.
Ecstasy for the Ranger fans. Good morning. This is Mike Greenwood Sports. That's NHL Commissioner Gary Bettman presenting the Stanley Cup at center ice. Rangers beating the Canucks 3-2 in Game 7. Last night on WFAN in New York, Marv Albert had the call of the winning goal.
Yeah.
It's the Rangers' second Stanley Cup.
No. Hold it. No. That was not Marv Albert.
Hold it right there.
This is Marv Albert. Good morning, Mr. Albert.
I did not want you to think I was bending under the pressure of your onslaught by calling today. How you doing?
I'm fine.
Good.
But don't you have to do an NBA game tonight?
Yes, I do, but I just couldn't sleep. I have this reoccurring dream, more of a vicious nightmare, that every game that I broadcast, you are the color commentator.
Well,
driving me crazy, Don.
For a person who doesn't like hockey, I shouldn't say that. I should say for a person who doesn't know anything about hockey, I alternated between listening on television and, of course, listening to you on the radio, and
the Rockets are up 2-1 without a vintage Olajuwon game. If Olajuwon hits them in the next two games, tonight or Friday night, with one of his great games, 40-22, the Knicks won't survive.
You think one of these two games is a toss-up game? Friday's a toss-up game?
I think one of them is, probably Friday, but I think the key is Olajuwon. If he has one of those explosions, I don't think the Knicks can hold him back.
Punching the Mad Dog, Sports Radio 66 WFAN.
this is Marv Albert. Good morning, Mr. Albert.
How you doing?
I'm fine.
Good.
Who was it there toward, I guess it was toward the end of the game, who, I can't think of the phrase, but scooped the goal. It didn't get in the net, but it was about ready to go in the net, and Richter had blocked it, but then it got loose, and then somebody skated up, and who was that? Was that?
That was Dave DeBuscher.
No,
If your radio sounds funny in the morning, you're listening to Imus in the morning on the Fan.
Don't you have to do an NBA game tonight?
Yes, I do, but I just couldn't sleep. I have this reoccurring dream, more of a vicious nightmare, that every game that I broadcast, you are the color commentator.
In the morning on the Fan, Sports Radio 66 WFAN.
WFAN 2020 Sports.
Good afternoon. It's 4 o'clock. I'm Vince Calisi.
One to go. We'll come back. We'll talk a little Knicks preview game 4 tonight. We'll also do some more hockey as we take you up. Maybe punch another guest up as we take you to 6 tonight. Knicks are in action tonight. DVD, pregame 8:30. Game 4, a crucial game for the Knicks. Next two, and Knicks must win if they're going to bring home a crown this year.
Punching the Mad Dog, Sports Radio 66 WFAN.
Flashback.
Hey, Beavis, your two girlfriends are on CNBC again. Mary Madlick and Jade Walrus.
I like her. She laughs like me.
How did these two chicks get their own TV show? They suck.
They do not. They're cool. Shut up or I'll have to kick your ass.
Why is Imus sucking up to them?
Because he admires their natural beauty, rapier-like wit, and thoughtful insight.
Yeah, right. He just wants to bone the one whose husband knows the president.
Which one is that?
You know, the dude with the human head and the dog's body.
Yeah. That Cajun dude. He's cool.
If I had a human head and a dog's body, that would be so cool.
Yeah. You could, like, pee on fire hydrants and stuff.
Yeah, and lick myself.
Yeah. And every time the president brought chicks into the White House, you could, like, hump their legs.
Yeah.
America's media, the dean of our nation's annals probers, veteran broadcast journalist, Walter Cronkite.
This morning, a look back at the day the Earth stood still. The day Richard E. Snyder was dismissed as chairman and chief executive officer of the publishing monolith he built, Simon & Schuster. The tightly knit world of publishing is still reeling from the news. A giant has fallen, still struggling to find an explanation, to somehow rationalize the unthinkable. How could this individual who single-handedly turned a nickel-and-dime book barn into a $2.5 billion behemoth possibly be fired? While publishing gropes for answers, the solution is simple. People hated him. Mr. Snyder did not get branded the Gaddafi of publishing for his humanity and heart. He possesses neither. The deeper reason behind Mr. Snyder's abrupt dismissal is this. He dared favor QVC in the recent bidding war with Sumner Redstone's Viacom in the deal for Paramount, which owns Simon & Schuster. And now Redstone has gotten even. Why? Because he can. It's just that simple. Because while Snyder may be tough, unyielding, obnoxious, sulking sorehead, Redstone is corporate America's answer to the bacterium that eats your skin, and in fact, may be its source. Let's look at some of the language that accompanied statements about Snyder's firing, and permit me to interpret the corporate vernacular. We're told, and I quote, that Mr. Snyder was bounced in a meeting that required 5 minutes. As one confidant put it, this was not done with any particular finesse. Read that, they grabbed him by the short ones and yanked. Mr. Snyder is described by an associate as at times temperamental and difficult. Read that, foaming at the mouth monster. Redstone released a statement saying Dick Snyder has been a major contributor to Simon & Schuster and leaves the company positioned for the future. Read that, get out. And Mr. Redstone, who saddled Viacom with a bone-crushing debt load in acquiring Paramount, sought to assure that, in his words, publishing remains one of our most strategic assets. And read that, I'll dump this king turkey into the lap of the first moron who has a Mont Blanc diplomat and can write down 6 zeros. Finally, Mr. Snyder issued a statement that read, I take enormous pride in what we've built. My passion for quality remains undiminished. Translation, what the hit me? And so, a change on the bridge for Dick Snyder, who, as a result of an earlier turf struggle, had just recently been told he'd gotten his baby back, that is, dictatorial control of S&S, well, they've just thrown the baby out with the bathwater. So, what of Mr. Snyder's future in the publishing industry? I'd say it is this. Wandering midtown Manhattan wearing a sandwich board on which he has printed, will aggravate for food. For Media Watch, this is Walter Cronkite. Thank you and good night.
Imus in the morning. Imus in the morning program, my fat friend, Rush Limbaugh. Good morning, Rush.
Friends, foemen, diddleheads, lend me your fears. I come to Barry Clinton, not to praise him, and oh, would for that be true when I were placing stones in the shape of a cross on top of him. Here we are, smack dab in the middle of the continuing debate over the character issue as it applies to the president and the politics of virtue. Here we are discovering that he is positively incapable of truth, even when it comes to fundamental human emotion. Leave it to him to use the anniversary of the greatest military effort in history as a personal opportunity to spin the wheel of perception. Let's see, I'm in England. What do I do to diffuse the negative image left by my checkered past at Oxford? Walk pensively on beach. Place American flag on grave. Ding, 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 ding. He treats the presidency as if it were performance art. I'm telling you, after the shamelessly shallow displays over there in Europe, one can easily conjure up the image of a happy family man on Father's Day. Arms around his wife and teenage daughter, giving them each a loving squeeze as the cameras whir and click. And then, out of the corner of his mouth, come the words, did you get that? Good. He pushes Hillary into one of the Rose Garden flower beds, then tramples over Chelsea, rushing inside to see how that particular skit plays on the Oval Office television. He's proven what we've suspected all along. Politics is show business. And you know what they say about showbiz? The most important thing is sincerity. And once you're able to fake that, you've got it made. Diddle it. Time for an EIB sports update. Major athletic event happening in New York. Not the Knickerbockers or New York Rangers. I'm talking about the Heine-Knockers and Butt Rangers. The Gay Olympics. And you know what the 5 gold rings symbolize in the Gay Olympics, don't you? Piercing points. Both ears, nose, both nipples. Why is it that minorities are always whining about being accepted for who they are, and that they should be given the same rights and privileges as mainstream Americans, and yet they go out of their way to separate themselves by participating in such exclusionary behavior as the gay games? It would be different if there were no homosexuals in professional sports. Why don't they let some straight athletes compete in the biathlon? I'll tell you why. Because they know we wouldn't do it. How could you run a relay not knowing where the baton had been? And forget about showering after the event? But the pageantry of the awards ceremony when the 3 medals are presented. Gold, silver, and brown. More up to this. Here's Brush to Say. Liberals are just like commies. You can't tell them apart. Think they're so progressive when they're all just big bleeding hearts. Tax the hard workers to give money to parasites that they never have to repay. Tell illegal aliens it's quite all right to be on welfare from cradle to grave. Mamas, don't let your babies grow up to be liberals. Don't let them start programs for social reform. Be narrow-minded to those who don't conform. Mamas, don't let your babies grow up to be liberals. Cause economy crunches with all their free lunches. They're giving the country away. Liberals like government handouts and hidden agendas. Like dropping trow in hotel rooms with girls of the night. They all feel guilty because they are so privileged and want to give it all up to the hopelessly needy. So if you don't want your young kids being left out, see that they stay to the right. Mamas, don't let your babies grow up to be liberals. They love homos and Negroes and Hebrews and such. They run from the rich, think that we have too much. Mamas, don't let your babies grow up to be liberals. Cause economy crunches with all their free lunches. They're giving the country away. Mamas, don't let your babies grow up to be liberals. Don't let them start programs for social reform. Be narrow-minded to those who don't conform. Mamas, don't let your babies grow up to be liberals. Cause Bubba and Hillary are both prime examples, and they're giving our country away.
Rush Limbaugh here on the Imus in the Morning program. It's 22 minutes past the hour. From ABC News, coming up, Cokie Roberts.
Want some whiskey in your water, sugar in your tea? What's all these crazy questions they're asking me? This is the craziest party that could ever be. Don't turn on the lights, cause I don't want to see. I'm a soul in the car. I'm a soul in the car. That ain't the way that we found out. Imus in the morning. Imus in the morning.
As we get ready to celebrate the Rangers tomorrow with the parade, and then Knicks Game 5 tomorrow night. A lot still going on. Yanks, Baltimore. Keep you seeing it tonight. They're a very good matchup if you want to see a little baseball.
Like in the Mad Dog, Sports Radio 66, WFAN.
Liz Smith.
Famer and Heisman Trophy winner just might end up being benched for a while. I thought that the Bob Barker bimbo brouhaha was juicy, but this is truly one of the more hideous events to befall a celebrity in recent memory. I don't know how he's going to bounce back from this one. It do look rather incriminating. Blood stains at the scene of the crime, on the glove, on his driveway, in his truck, in his hotel room in Chicago. Yeah, I'd say there's a flag on that play. Number 32, 15 yards for roughing the kicker, and 50 years for killing the ex-wife and her boyfriend. It's more than a little ironic to think that the man who used to be a spokesperson for a rent-a-car company might end up making license plates. Well, although California does have the death penalty, so Jews could actually end up getting the Jews. I don't know what bothers me more, the fact that he may have actually done the heinous deed, or that he did it so sloppily. This is right out of one of his Police Squad movies. Jesus, OJ, is it too much to ask that you wash your hands after you kill somebody? Why didn't you just put one of your old jerseys on the coal and pin a confession to it? I did it. I'm in Chicago. Signed, OJ. Well, I guess he can kiss those commercial endorsements goodbye, 'cause I don't know what product an accused murderer could vouch for with any kind of success. One thing's for sure, the way he left those blood stains all over the place, it certainly won't be for Tide. And if you ask me, it certainly wasn't all that encouraging when the only thing to fold up quicker than those endorsements was his first lawyer. I mean, Howard Weitzman was the only person in America who actually believed Michael Jackson's story. And as if jumping off the Simpson bandwagon wasn't bad enough, Weitzman had to bail out with such a lame excuse. He was too close to OJ and didn't have enough time to devote to the situation. Yeah, well, I can see where an attorney would turn down the opportunity to represent a world-famous celebrity in a sensationalized court case that would guarantee millions of dollars in billing hours, to say nothing about the book rights, because its plate is full with slip and falls. Curious how Simpson's new mouthpiece, Robert Shapiro, says that Juice was at home when the alleged murders took place. Weitzman always maintained OJ was at the airport. To paraphrase the Firesign Theater, how can you be two places at once when you're not anywhere at all? It's only a matter of time until somebody figures that the case isn't sensational enough and decides to focus on the interracial aspect of the Simpsons relationship, which would only add to the already formidable ethnic tensions in this country. That is, unless we could diffuse the situation by getting somebody white to kill his black ex. What do you think the chances are we could get Ted Danson to slit Whoopi Goldberg's throat? None of this is not necessary.
Imus in the morning, 2020 sports.
And so are some of you. We're here. We're queer. And so are some of you.
The gay game's set to begin. Good morning. This is Mike Brain with sports. It all starts tomorrow in New York City.